You're watching Single Process with Joe and Bob. We've created this video series to help you navigate the difficult process of divorce. We hope this helps you on your journey. Our topic today is taking vacations as a single parent or alone by yourself.
I love this topic.
So you have done a vacation with your kids alone since you got divorced. I have not yet. I've just been overwhelmed by the thought of it.
I know, I was a little bit, but I think I did the right thing, and there were a couple things I did that were simple. I only planned 3 nights.
That's a great idea. So if it's all full, you can
Right,
leave.
you're out of there. I did a nonstop flight, so we'd have to change planes, and I kept it fairly inexpensive because it was kind of just a dry run. So I'm dying to know if Lisa Primmer thinks that this is the right thing to do and what her strategy is.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. So today we have Lisa Primmer with us, who is an expert with LA Travel in Larchmont, New York, and she actually specializes in planning vacations once you're newly divorced.
So welcome, Lisa. We're so glad to have you here with us today. Tell us where we should start, what our first considerations are when planning that first trip.
I think for the first time, you should know your limits. I think you should understand how much your kids can handle and how much you can handle. If you take on too much, if you're going to be spending the time miserable or stressed or shouting at your kids, it's not going to be
a vacation.
It's not going to be very pleasant.
I do that anyway.
Yeah, more than normal.
More than normal.
So think about what your limits are, how much you can take on. If it's too much to take your kids to the beach by yourself for a few days, don't do it. Wait a couple of years. You can still do it. But just, think your expectations will change. Their expectations will change as they get older. But just don't take on too much because it won't be any fun.
So give us some ideas of what things you've seen that seem to work very well. If I have no idea where to start.
I think you can think about cities. I think cities are a good option for, depending on the ages of your children. But it has a lot of built-in activities. It has museums, it has zoos, it has lots of places you can walk, it has restaurants, it has many good options, it has transportation. So it can be a very easy, contained way to do a fun activity that's out of your normal.
And maybe feel a little less conspicuous with so many people around.
Exactly,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Another option is something with kids clubs. Some kids like them, some kids don't. But if it's something that suits your kids, there are some great hotels that have tons of activities for kids. Some of it can be a half day or a full day. Some of it you can just go in for an hour. But it's fun things. The kids can meet other kids. You can do something on your own maybe. But it's a good way for everyone to enjoy a trip.
I like the idea of a break for the parents, because if you're with your kids 24/7, that could be...
Yeah, parenting alone, it's a lot to take on that entire
Totally.
trip with the kids by yourself.
Totally. I always hear cruises are good.
I think cruises are underrated.
Okay,
as far
I
as
have no
families
desire to do a
go.
cruise. So tell me about that.
Not by myself, but I've taken one and I am a firm believer.
Okay.
We were skeptics as well, and we've taken 2 now with our kids, and it has gone extremely well. We've been very pleasantly surprised by what we found. If you go with a nice cruise line, one that's well rated, one that has a lot of services, good food, etc., I think it's a very positive experience. There are tons of activities for you, for your kids, and there are all different types of people on these ships. So there's a lot of parents traveling alone with kids, there's a lot of people traveling alone, there's a lot of families traveling, so there's anything you want you can find on a cruise.
And I bet that cuts down on the logistics. You're not packing and unpacking. You really are just have to get on the boat.
Your transportation is taken care of, as well as your meals. You don't have to think about where you're going to eat. It's taken care of for you. So it takes a lot of the stress out of the travel for you.
I've heard the staff to client ratio is just outrageous on a cruise.
It depends on the cruise line.
Okay.
But often you will find that you are well taken care of.
Give us a favorite cruise line.
Well, I think the obvious one is Disney for families. And I have
Kids
to say,
love Disney.
kids love it. But also it's got something for everyone. It's got a kids club. It's got a teen club. It's got a tween club. And so they're for any age, they've got it figured out.
Is there alcohol on a Disney cruise?
There is.
Okay.
Gotta have the
Just went to the top of my list.
There is,
What
yes.
about an all-inclusive resort? What do you think of that idea?
So I think all-inclusive resorts for families are a good option. There are many, it depends on the country, but there are many in Mexico, for example. And you can find nice ones, you can find not so nice ones. You need to do your homework a little bit to see what are the good options.
But it's a good way to stay within the budget and not have to be worrying about all the
There are no
extra
surprises.
expenses.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, to that point, so if I came to you, would I start with a budget or would I start with an idea of what I wanted to do?
Both or either. Sometimes people have no idea what something is going to cost, and just, you can price out 3 options: high end, middle end, low end, and then you can go from there. Or you start with, I cannot spend more than $3,000. What can we do with that? So it kind of depends. And I think in terms of activities, give a list of, here's what I hate. Somebody recently came to me and said, I don't like crowds, but my kids like photography. So within that, you can look at something like a rental home in Italy. You can look at maybe the California coastline, or going to the mountains in Colorado or Utah. So you can kind of just give some constraints, budget or activity-wise, and then from there you can sort of hone in on what the options are that make sense.
So talk to us about, do I come to a travel agent or do I book online? Booking online seems like a cheaper option, right?
I agree. I haven't used a travel agent in years. I feel like it's too cost prohibitive. So, I mean, I know that's your work, but
right.
Is that true?
I think there are a lot of misperceptions about using a travel advisor. Most travel advisors do not charge a fee. So I think that is one of the main misconceptions that's out there. You can have personal service, you can have somebody do all the legwork for you, and you don't pay them.
So who pays you?
So the properties pay you.
Okay.
And is that different from booking online and using Expedia?
So what's interesting is something like Expedia or Travelocity also gets paid by the properties. So someone is getting paid unless you book it yourself directly online. So you can
through the hotel itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can use a planner, and they'll get the same rate for you that you book online. But for that price, you're getting much more service, as well as somebody looking out for you and making sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, and no detail has been forgotten.
You're relying on the travel agent rather than reviews on TripAdvisor, which
Correct.
can sometimes be very misleading.
Right.
They can be misleading because I think sometimes they're planted, or sometimes they're skewed to the negative. If somebody has a positive experience, they may not always post that. If someone has a negative experience, they're on a mission to let everyone know.
That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Okay, so if you're a single parent going without your kids on a vacation, what should we be doing? I mean, I can't even come up with some examples, like nudist colonies, those still exist. What do single people even do for vacation?
What about an adult resort, an adult all-inclusive?
Yeah.
So it's an option. I think often honeymooners go to those.
Adult all-inclusives or honeymooners?
Yeah, potentially. So I think you need to, again, do your homework and make sure you're not going to be joining a bunch of couples.
That'd be so
That would
depressing.
be so
Celebrating.
Divorced with a bunch of people who look good and are having fun together. Okay.
What are your other ideas for traveling alone?
I think if you have an activity that you're particularly passionate about, I think you can find any activity-based vacation to suit that. There are surf camps, there are cooking schools abroad, there are language schools, there are garden tours in Ireland or Holland. There are so many different activity-based trips, yoga retreats, anything like that. You can find people with a common interest and have a lot of fun, and it's a great way to meet people.
That sounds terrific. I think that's good advice.
It's great advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you
those
for
are
having
great
me.
tips.
So for more information about vacations as a single parent, log on to singleprocess.me.